Hey wood turners, got me a new hat. How you like that, huh? Isn't that cool? Yeah, Vietnam veteran. I want to talk to you about wood turning, but it's something to do that you can do for wood turning that at this time I still can't do. I guess you need to know more, so all you got to do now is, of course, you got to watch. I came out to the shop. I've not been out here for 3 weeks. We got the lathe running again. Still powered up, still starts, still runs. I'd hoped to come out and finish something I wanted to start for a YouTube for you, and that was on how to make a self-powered sander. I was going to show you that on my website for $10. You can buy the bronze bushing and the bearing. Bushing and a bearing, one of each, and then you can turn a simple handle, take your sanding pad, it's in the bearing, it's in the bushing with the bearing underneath. You can make yourself a self-powered sander. The intent was to come finish that up. I started that 3 weeks ago. This is not time for woe is me. I had a minor surgical procedure. Now those words don't go together very well. You know that? There's nothing minor about a surgical procedure. You should never use the 3 words together. The young doctors I go to are really great, and they use that term. They convinced me that the problem I was having with constant urinary tract infections and all this other stuff could be eliminated if we did this minor urinary or surgical procedure. I'm getting potty trained again. That's a bummer. It's been 3 weeks. I'm sore as hell. I have a hard time moving. My balance is way off. All that can be fixed. That's not the real problem. Problem is, I believed them when they said it was a minor surgical procedure. I should have learned. But I got it done, and now I'm going to get back out here. But while I've been sitting up, you've been calling. That's right, I can never walk away from my telephone. Hot dog, and I did it. I did it on the table. How about that? Well, it'll take a message, so if you do call me at this number, 504-715-0512, if you do call me, it'll get a message. Leave a message. If you don't get me, leave a message. I'll call you back. But then that's something. I got to walk away from it. Huh. That didn't happen in 21 days. All right. Enough of that. Enough of that. Okay. What I'm talking to you about today is wood turning. What I want to do is put a piece of wood on the skew, on the lathe. I know these things. I know these things. Put a piece of wood on a lathe and then knock it down and make it round. Wow. See that? The magnetic bushings being attracted to that wood. That wood is not magnetic, folks. There's already one in there. Alright, I'm going to take it and knock it down and round it. Just put a... I like to use the term, I'm going to use the block plane for the lathe. And that is my skew. My #1 ultimate weapon for getting things smooth and flat. But I'm going to show you something using the skew and then using a scraper, then using a 3/8 bowl gouge, and then using a carbide cutter. I'm the king of carbide cutters. We have the cheapest prices in the world, on the planet, for the carbide cutters. But I'm going to show you pluses and minuses of all of them, because I am not of the belief that you can just take a tool, poke it into a piece of wood, shavings fly off, and you get a shape and you've done a good job. Really not in belief of that. Not really. No, ain't gonna get me. I'm not gonna go for that. Nope. You have to slice it. You have to cut it. You have to do a proper presentation. I want to show you that I can take the skew, the scraper, the bowl gouge, and a carbide tool, and I can get 4 different kinds of cuts. But with all of them, I can remove wood and get shape. I guess you're about to say, what difference does that make? Well, it makes a lot of difference if your shape is torn up, torn out, raggedy, looks kind of, you had that feeling where you got to... I joked one time with a really great young woodturner named Sean Sullivan. We went out to the garden and got him a brick to start sanding with. Because his cutting was so rough. We got him a brick. And he said, that won't work. I said, why? He said, I always start with a brown brick, not a red brick. Great woodturner, great sense of humor, but he understood where we were going. If you do a better cut, you'll get a better start to your finish. How you like that? Isn't that a jump? We're going to talk about going from a cut to a start to a finish. Or the hands went one way or the other. But hey, here's the deal. If you can slice that wood off, slice it off, and have those little curlicues come up that you love to see on the back of your hand, there's so much nice to see those chunks of stuff coming off that came pulled out. And if you think about it, if you try to whittle with a blade axe, it's going to get a little rough. But if you whittle with a cane knife, it's going to get a little finer. My daddy was an honest to goodness Renaissance man. He would have taught me what that all meant. But he did insist that his 2 sons, me and my late younger brother, carry a knife at all times. Always have a knife on you, and always have it sharp. I think it was Billy, my little brother, that said, okay, Dad, where's your knife? And he said, in your pocket. Didn't you hear your dad just say that? Mine said it real clear. Where's yours? In your pocket. What? I didn't bring you on this planet for anything else. You got a knife. That's and if it's sharp, you've done your deal. He taught us how to sharpen tools, how to lap them, what. He was a butcher early on in his career. Early on, when he was 15, 16 years old. He worked in a butcher shop. That's after I got off the ice wagon. I am not lying. My daddy and his big sister rode an ice wagon for over 10 years, delivering ice blocks to houses in the New Orleans area. Why? Because he wasn't, Dad, I love you, he wasn't smart enough or good enough to stay in school and behave, and he had to do something, and Grandpa owned an ice house. So he did ice, he did rags, he did fruits, he did watermelons, whatever it took. But in his later years, he learned how to cut meat. And guess what you got to learn how to do? Sharpen your knives. So my dad could put a blade on anything. He'd pick up steel up, clean the steel off, and go to town. Go right to it. Wasn't any expensive blades or anything. It's a good old-fashioned blade with carbon in it. And he'd sharpen it and he'd do things with it. Well, he could do the same thing with carving and detailing and do a little fret work. And he would sit there on the steps, on the back steps of the house. We had steps on the back of the house. And he would do a little fret work and stuff. And they'd do it out of softwoods that we'd have around the place. And he'd give them away. He'd do ornaments and give them away. And he'd do trinkets. He learned how to do whistles. And he could pitch that whistle. Man, he could turn that dog going down the street. He'd turn that dog would screech tires to stop when he blew that whistle. Whoa, what's going on? Because he learned how to sharpen a tool, and that sharpening led him to use the tool better, more efficiently, less stress, less pain, etc., etc., etc. But because he could do that, the shop work got to be better. And I told you he was a Renaissance man. Everything done at our home, and I lived in that house for the better part of 35 years, was done by us. Dad, Billy, me. And it was in the days when the girls weren't doing paintbrushes. And I learned how to sand the floor. I learned how to texture walls. I rewired a house when I was 18 years old. The entire house. I went to Sears, bought the book, read the book, understood the book, and then rewired the house. Took all the knob and tube wiring out, put Romex, I won't say it's Romex, in, put all new outlets in, new light fixtures, ran everything back to a panel, and beat the inspector. Because he said, if that guy can do it, you can do it. That's the hardest thing in life, is to understand what you can and can't do. And he used to always, I'd ask him about doing some work on something. And he'd say, see the guy? Yeah. He's a professional. What's his name? Yeah. If he can do it, why can't you? What would God give him that he didn't give you? The ability to understand, comprehend, massage his world to match. He wasn't a very, very educated man. 5th grade, they put him out. Get this, my high school principal is the teacher that put him out. And we did all right. But sharpening a tool and using a sharp tool, that's the secret to a lot of these things. So I am almost potty trained, and that's a terrible thing at 68 years old. Almost ready to come back out to the shop again, or comfortable enough to be out here without major incidents. So my plan is tomorrow to come chuck something up, make those cuts, and show you up close, up tight and up close, what we're talking about in making cuts, and how making the right cuts are going to save you a lot of grief, a lot of time, and give you a better work. And all those catches you're worried about, they're going to go away. They're going to go away. They really, really are. I'm not talking, I don't want to come in and say, oh look, we can do such and such and turn this beautiful ink pen and this bottle stopper and this bowl and this jar and that jug and that aerated thing. It's not a let me show you what I can do thing. It's let me show you what you can do thing. Because guess what? You got the same thing God gave me. He probably gave you a better dose of it, matured it a little bit, and refined it and made it nice. So what God gave you, He gave me, and I can get you to go back to what you were doing. And if you're coming back from a stroke, I am. Parts and pieces work. Brains, well, not all the parts and pieces. I'll stain on the pants. But we can get past all that. We really can. And I'm going to get past it with your help. So stick around, and we're going to do that. And I'm going to show you 4 tools, 4 cuts, 4 finishes. Now, we're all going to start at the same spot. We're going to end on a different race. Well, we can do that. Yeah. But first, I got to throw this in here. Okay. 2 things. We have to have a commercial in order to pay for whatever I do. Yeah, really. Think about that. I no longer own my business. Big Guy Productions is owned by that woman I married. Yes. Married her twice. She operates the business. She controls business. If you call me, I'll talk to you about cutters. I'll talk to you about wood turning. I'll talk to you about finishes. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about, except we ain't talking about that. But if you want cutters at a good price and a fair deal, and you want to deal with a American-based business who is family operated, I have no call center, nobody sitting at a computer back there taking orders. It all done by this and us, and mainly that. That's boss management right in there. Management. She runs the show. She ain't afraid to tell you, and I'm proud to tell you, she runs the show. But we're getting a step beyond that. If you need our help, get a hold of us. Go to our website, www.eddiecastellan.com. Give us a phone call. Phone number's at the end of the tape. 504-715-0512. That's how you get a hold of us. But before we do that, I got one more thing to talk to you about. We've been getting together for about 10 years now. Yeah, it's been about that long. Things with Turning were changing at the time, and people had ideas on how to make this so much better, that so much better. And then there was people that said, you can't do that because that's infringing on somebody, and you can't do this, and what can we do to help, and how can we do things? And guys would call me up and say, I'm going to go buy a lathe and I'm going to turn pens. How much money can I make? You've asked the wrong guy about that. Really. I didn't get in this for the work end of it. We got into the cutter business because of necessity. I retired 5 years ago. Decided not to go back to work because I was having a pretty good time, having fun, teaching, going on the road and all that. But I was still getting these things where people said, what can we do to fix this or fix that, or how can we help? Almost by accident, Freedom Pens came about. Not an accident for them. It was by accident for me. A guy called me and said, hey, can you turn some pens for us? We're going to do this thing where we're going to give away pens to the troops. I said, okay, how many pens you want? He said, 1 million. That was a guy named Joe Kelly. And that was his normal response. Oh, about 1 million. We're about a fourth of a way there to that million right now. Really are. We give a lot of pens to our troops. A lot of men and women devoted their lives to the military. And before you go, oh, that's a budget. No, think about it. The men and women today had to volunteer. They weren't constricted. You want to see America go nuts? You want to see America go totally crazy? You want to see America have riots? All you got to do is say we're bringing back the draft. How do you think that would go? Well, we don't have a draft. So all these young men and women, all these men and women, all these older men and women have given their lives and their way of life to supporting our country. I got a flag over there on the wall. You want me to wave it for you? I'll wave it for you. I believe in it. I got a flag over in front of the house on a car. Why? Because I'm a flag-waving crazy guy. I believe there's purpose in this. And I believe that we're going to rebuild America. We're going to make it great again. Let's not get into the politics. But we're going to rebuild the military. And we're going to do something about protecting our home base. Our own country. We will be great again. But guess what? We have to pay our dues to those young men and women who are making it great. So I need your help with Freedom Pens. Here's the way. And please, if you say, I don't do pens, I want you to get involved anyway. If you do pens, I'm going to put a couple of names and phone numbers up at the end of this. And they're going to be up on the screen for a minute so you can get them down. But I want you to contact Joe Kelly or the other fellow. And I want you to tell them you want to be involved in Freedom Pens. And they'll see what they can do about getting you kits and whatever you need to be involved in Freedom Pens. Now, they'll get you started. But guess what? That motor that's getting you started, it ain't been primed in a long time. What am I talking about? Corporate support has dropped off. I know the stock market's on the upwind and things are going well and employment's down, employment's up and unemployment's down and all these other things. But the people that were supporting us have gotten a little about the support. Why? There's not as much flag waving anymore. We're not out killing some people in another country and all that stuff. No, we're making America great again. And we're doing it right here in America. I don't care what's happening in all these other countries. What's happening right here in America is what I'm worried about. What I'm concerned about, what you better be concerned about. So if you want to make it better, maybe you can support Freedom Pens. The same guys can help you. They can tell you how you make a donation. And you make that donation to Freedom Pens. And it is tax deductible. We all have that tax thing going on. But if you belong to a VFW, American Legion, I'm brain cramp, any other groups that support the military. If you belong to one of these groups, see, I'm brain dead and they're barking about it. If you belong to one of these groups, it might be time for you to ask them, will they support Freedom Pens? They don't have to turn pens. We need help at Freedom Pens buying the kits, buying the blanks, getting the things together and all that. We need help with that. And that's where you can come in at. I've seen donations come from Shell Oil Company's retirement plan. I've seen donations come from insurance companies' plans and programs up and down the oil field corridor. A lot of groups backed us and supported us. I don't ring the doorbell every day and say, hey. I'm ringing it one time. Come on, get on board and support us. It's called Freedom Pens for a reason. Because it's protecting your freedom and my freedom. That's just the reality of the world. Freedom Pens. It does matter.